Every new mobile game is like a bit of opening a mystery box. Most days it's just business as usual, but every now and then it's decent. Not today. Hello friends, welcome back, this is Mobo. Today we're checking out 20 more new casual mobile games that were released this week for Android and iOS. So first of all, sitting in at number 1 on Android exclusively, coming to iOS next week apparently. This has in fact been in the development phase for over 2 years now, and in case you missed it, Warfare 1942 sort of came back on stores for free, and it's even playable online now. The game itself is a World War II action third-person shooter. It feels like one of those old school shooters where you just boot up for a match, suddenly it's an hour later. It keeps things pretty simple in a good way. It's got a pretty solid gunplay, quick matches, familiar World War II weapons, and maps that don't waste your time either. There's some tank battles down the line, which is pretty nice for a bit of a shift, and while it doesn't really reinvent anything about the genre, it doesn't need to. So yeah, if you're just after a straightforward third-person shooter, give it a shot. Coming up behind that at number 2, we've got Skull Mask, which is a bit rough around the edge, but there's a lot of heart behind it. So this game is basically a low-budget open-world brawler where you roam the city, throw hands with different street gangs, chip away at a surprisingly decent crime story down the line. It's not GTA or any sort of polish like that. The fun sort of comes from exploring, finding goofy little different side activities, gathering new items and outfits. If you like supporting ambitious indie projects, Skull Mask is actually an easy one to kind of root for. Why not? There's a bit of a quick mention. Number 3, we've got Rust, which is pretty much everything that made the original decent and brutally frustrating at the same time, now playable on mobile. So Rust Mobile is in a playable beta right now. We can play it for free on its official website, 20 to 21 gigabytes in total, and quite polished in fact already. The question is whether it can handle that scale without sacrificing performance when it's due globally, because we know low-end devices are gonna be in trouble. In fact, most phones are right now. But if Tencent pulls it off somehow, this could become like the go-to survival game of probably 2026. Going down to number 4, we've got Fly Wings, which has actually been out for like a month. It's now finally available on the Apple Store as of today. This game's in fact coming from a mobile game developer with like a halfway decent history. Tons of games that you could tell they want to make folks happy, or you know, they're trying to do something special, especially aviation fans with this game, because it's not a tap button and fly kind of game. You've got different weathers, airports, cargo, lots of little details as well. We know mobile flight sim games always live or die by controls and realism, and some players might find the learning curve in this game a bit much. But if you've ever wanted the proper cockpit experience, this is one of those ambitious ones. It's free, about 3 gigabytes in total as well. Number 5, we've got not really a game, it's more of a graphics showcase or sort of a benchmark for just 400 megabytes in fact. Perfectly fine, we do get one of these games once every while. It's called Unreal Engine 5 Mobile Demo, which is basically saying, hey, this is what your phone might be capable of. Yeah, you just walk around this pretty beautiful rain-soaked city, which is just, well, got a lot of light reflections, surprisingly impressive visuals for that size, and a female protagonist. There's no combat, no real objectives here, so don't download it expecting gameplay, but if you're the type of guy like me who gets excited whenever there's a new mobile game in town, it's a fun little demo, why not?
Rise of the Ferrymancer is the
Weirdwood Manor 2 is less of a game, just the same, more of an interactive storybook, which is done actually pretty well. So in this game, which is a story adventure, you're reading, solving puzzles, finding hidden objects, watching the world come alive with these different animations instead of just flipping pages. It's clearly aiming at some younger players, but there's enough charm and creativity that adults can appreciate it as well, like myself. If you've got kids, that's an easy recommendation. If you would just enjoy cozy, story-driven adventure games with a little bit of puzzle solving on the side, it's honestly a pretty relaxing way to spend like an evening, at least. So Project Vox is the sandbox made for simply just messing around. The game's been around for a little over a week. It's almost generated about 50,000 downloads and on the Play Store only, so it's, doing something right. There's no deep story or big progression system in this game. It's all about spawning into a voxel world and seeing how much destruction you can cause. Blow buildings apart, launch objects across the map, playing with ragdolls, just experimenting with different physics. It's the kind of game you jump into for like 20 minutes when you just want to switch your brain off and have fun breaking stuff. Sometimes that's all a sandbox really actually needs. I've mentioned Mesozoic Dawn, which is here in the list because it just received a pretty good update. And this is for people who thought, what if dinosaur survival games weren't brutal enough? You don't just pick a dino and run around, you grow, hunt, build nests, raise offspring, slowly evolve into something stronger. It's got some surprisingly deep survival mechanics here, so things like injuries, weather, and even organs matter. Definitely not a casual pick, but if you've been waiting for a proper dinosaur survival game on mobile with some real depth, this one actually has a lot of potential for a free game. Ragnarok Rebirth knows exactly who it is trying to win over, and it does a pretty good job of doing it as well. It's got the classic towns and monsters and music, classes are all here, but with like a few modern touches that make the grind a little less painful. Like being able to switch jobs freshly and level through pit dispatch is a welcome change for once, while MVP hunting still where a lot of excitement comes from, as usual. If you've got good memories of Ragnarok, this feels like a comfortable excuse to just jump back into Midgard without committing your entire life to it. It's a free game, it's an MMORPG, about 3 GB in total, why not? Anemo is back on our list, and honestly, it's just because every time it shows up, it looks a little better. The latest footage in fact gave us a much clearer idea of how combat, the creature transformation, the world, all that actually works. It's starting to feel like there's a real game behind all the pretty trailers. It's still got plenty of proof before launch of course, but if you're into open world creature collecting, this is absolutely one worth keeping on your radar. Anemo is one of those games that's just genuinely worth checking back on every few weeks to see how it's going. MMORPG, supports controllers about 20 GB in total. Going down to number 11, we've got Terra Fury, which is this pretty cool idea that actually caught our attention, where instead of picking maps from a menu, you actually choose cities around the world from a globe and unlock more as you play. So look, it still has a pretty straightforward third-person shooter behind it, that's basically the whole point, but that little twist makes the progression feel a bit more interesting. The gunplay is pretty simple, matches are quick, there's enough variety in the modes to keep things moving. Definitely not trying to compete with the big names, but if you're after a lightweight shooting game that gets you into the action fast, this one's at least worth a look. MMA Clash PFL is one of the better looking MMA games to land on mobile in a while. The official PFL license means here you're fighting with real athletes instead of just random knockoffs, and the combat has a nice little mix of striking, takedowns, and submissions without feeling overly complicated as well. There's a decent progression systems beneath it if you enjoy building your own fighter. It's still early days though, but if you've been waiting for something to scratch that UFC style itch on Android, this one's definitely worth keeping an eye out for. UFO Crash Simulator Pro is pretty much what the title says, and it's not bad either, you fly this UFO around different cities, Area 51, dodge missiles if you feel like it, or just smash into buildings and planes just to watch everything fall apart for whatever reason. There's no story or progression pushing around it, which is, definitely lacking. It's just a sandbox built for messing around. The physics can be a little wonky, but that's also part of the charm. And for 50 cents, it's a kind of goofy little game you fire when you just want to cause some alien chaos for a while. I just wish it was more like Destroy All Humans, the game. But it's not. Down to number 14, we've got American Stock Car Series, which feels like it was basically made for people who actually enjoy strategy behind the racing, and not just racing. So you've got full championship weekends with these qualifying pit stops, changing weathers, and car tuning that genuinely affects how the car drives. And if that's too much, there's an arcade mode that's just much easier to jump into without any hassle. It doesn't have the biggest budget, that's probably one of the reasons, but there's a surprising amount of depth, and stock car fans will probably get more of it than you'd expect. Just saying.
The fate is written.
Here's a question, which one of you here remembers Wizard of Riverian's Daphne? So if you were to take that game and add Roguelike to it, Fortunes of Battle might be what you'd get as a result. And it's an easy recommendation as well. The game sort of blends dungeon crawling, deck building, and dice mechanics into something that's kind of turns out pretty addictive. Every run throws a new type of enemy, relics, weapons, some tough different decisions, so different attempts never play out the same, is what I'm saying. You could say it's one of those premium games that's easy to lose hours into, especially if you enjoy experimenting with different builds and chasing a perfect run. It's an offline game, available on Android and iOS. It's $5.99. Legend of the Witch doesn't try to reinvent idle RPGs, but it actually nails the part that probably matters most, making the numbers go up at a ridiculously satisfying pace. It's the kind of game you choose to play because of that, and then it's way more addictive than you thought it would be. Like every few minutes you're unlocking something new, your little pixel witch gets noticeably stronger, there's new rewards rushing around, there's now suddenly a ton of new rewards rushing. If you're the kind of guy who enjoys watching a character slowly become absurdly overpowered, not watching other folks spending money to get there, this is definitely an easy recommendation. Master Healer Kale, in fact, flips the usual RPG formula in a sort of a fun way. Instead of being the hero swinging a sword, you are this very poor healer desperately trying to keep everyone else alive while the party does the fighting for you. So yeah, most of the fun comes from unlocking new skills, figuring out the best upgrades, slowly turning the team into a machine if you could. It's also refreshingly short at around 4 hours, so it never drags. If you're into incremental games with a clever twist, this one's an easy recommendation, although it does take you about $5. Down to number 18, we've got this thing called Stella Connect, which it actually mixes match-style puzzles with tower defense and a little, healthy dose of character collecting, and it comes down pretty good together. So battles are pretty easy to understand at first, but building a good team and knowing when to use each character adds a lot of strategy. The art and the cast, definitely do a lot of the heavy lifting, making it feel light, relaxing without being completely mindless. If you're into casual RPGs that give you something to build towards every day, this one's an easy rec. On another hand, at number 19, we've got Throw Hero. This is a strategy RPG, but also one with a nice little combat gimmick, where fights are about throwing weapons with good timing while trying to break your opponent's gear before they break yours. You go forward, getting stronger swords, spears, armor, pits, and so battles become more tactical than they first appear. It's got that classic pixel art charm too, plenty of upgrades to chase, quick fights to make it easy to play in short sessions. If you like simple RPGs with that, a little bit of strategy, some clever little ideas here and there, free game, that's actually a pretty good one. And finally at number 20, we're wrapping up the list with Site 42, and this one actually mixes survival, roguelike progression, and RPG mechanics into this pretty interesting package, for lack of a better word. So the story is you're stranded after this plane crash. Now you're building a camp, getting survivors, pushing deeper into this island that has something strange going on. I did actually like the fact that it's not just non-stop fighting. We've got exploration, resource managing, a bit of mystery down the line as well. It's a great game, it's free, sitting on both the Google and the Apple Store. Thanks for watching, really hope you enjoyed. I'll see you again tomorrow, folks.